The last thing any physician usually wants to do is testify against another physician. But I had just finished my first case as a peer reviewer for the state medical board, and I was satisfied I had done the right thing. Not that it was easy. You have to be very thorough. But when I finished testifying, I knew I would do it all over again, in a heartbeat.
It was a tremendous job, Doctor. You really put the issue into perspective.
The truth is, the practice of medicine is far from perfect, and very few of us doctors care to admit how close we've come to making a major mistake. Patients expect us to be able to make them better, always. But when we can't deliver the perfect cure, they can get angry, frustrated, and want to know why. The trick is to distinguish the absence of miracles from the practice of bad medicine. And usually it takes a doctor to do that.
Robert, how are you? Were you just in a hearing?
You remember that peer review work you got me started on? Well, I just had to testify.
So, how'd it go?
It was funny running into Dan Myers just then. He was an orthopedic surgeon, like myself, who had taken an interest in my career. Dan had been doing peer review work for years, and he was the one who got the ball rolling on my own recruitment.
You handle about one case every 18 months or so. Of course, some are more complicated than others. But let me tell you, you learn how to study a chart real well.
I bet. But it sounds like a big commitment.
Well, it is. But that comes with the territory. Look, 99.9% of us are good at our job. Some are very good. And I put you in that category. But we both know people out there whose practice is less than proficient. Some dangerously so. It's up to us to police our own ranks and correct bad practice when we find it. After all, Bob, if we don't do it, who will? You think about that.
I did think about it, and that's why I decided to get involved. I contacted our state medical board and made an appointment to learn what was involved.
You know, we spend a lot of time looking for qualified physicians who are willing to take part in the peer review program. You're not easy to find.
I believe it. But like Dan Myers pointed out, it's really in our best interest. If God forbid I ever got into trouble, I want to have my work reviewed by a real doctor, not some bureaucrat. You know, I'm not a physician, but I've seen one on TV.
You're right. It's the physicians who define and maintain the quality of care in this state. It's up to you to protect the public and to protect yourselves. You know, in many ways, you're very fortunate that the state has given you this means of regulating yourselves. It's important work.
What kind of qualifications do you require?
You've got to be board certified or eligible. 5 years minimum practice in your specialty.
I've been doing it for 10 years.
Let's see, you've got to be in active practice, and that can mean institutional or academic practice. And it helps if you've done some kind of review work along the line, maybe some QA work in your hospital.
As a matter of fact, Dan Myers had me doing QA work.
He must think very highly of you. So if you meet these qualifications, we could get you some training in what actually goes on. And then we would get you to sign a written agreement that you agree to serve in the peer review, and that you also agree to testify as an expert witness, if called upon. Of course, only a very few of these standard of care cases ever make it to hearing. But if they do, it can be a lot of work.
Is that like a trial?
It's not a civil or a criminal trial. It's actually an administrative hearing. There is a prosecutor who presents the case before an administrative law judge. The responding physician is represented by counsel and is usually present, but it doesn't usually get that far.
I see.
The majority of complaints are settled very quickly without a hearing. The whole point is that the state government has established the state medical board to look into allegations of substandard care. If it's a case involving standard of care issues, we have to have impartial peers of the physician in question who practice the same specialty review the case and make an objective report.
That's the actual peer review part?
Correct. We need the peer review to determine whether or not the doctor met the standard of quality care.
But this testifying business. First of all, I'm uncomfortable laying out another physician in public. And then what if the guy comes after me for slandering him or whatever?
Oh, you can be sued, but peer reviewers have legal immunity or protection from being sued for giving their opinion in this process or for testifying.
Well, that's reassuring. Still,
I know it's tough to testify against another doctor, but if doctors don't police themselves, who will? Look, just be objective and honest and thorough, and you'll get through it. Here, look over these materials and give me a call.
The first thing I learned was how the complaint process works. Someone files a complaint against a physician, and a board panel reviews it, and the medical records, and the doctor's response, and then decides if it should investigate further. If the complaint involves quality standard of care issues, the case is referred to for peer review. Then peer reviewers like myself are selected. The board may subpoena more records from the physician in question. The reviewers study the case, go over documentation, and do a written report. The board members look carefully at what the reviewers say, deliberate amongst themselves, and make a decision on what to do. The board either dismisses the case or votes to charge the physician with a violation of the Medical Practice Act. Most complaints are resolved by this stage. If charging occurs, the case is sent for prosecution and preparation of a charging document. When the board issues the charging document, it is a public document. Charged physicians have a chance to settle the case at this point. If there's no settlement, an administrative hearing takes place. So I agreed to go into training to become a peer reviewer.
Timeliness. It's incredibly important. Once you accept a case, you have a limited amount of time to study it and write your report. Please don't bog down the process by not doing your part promptly. Now, that being said, don't rush through the evidence just to finish it. Take your time, be thorough, think about what you're willing to commit to in writing. And remember, you have to be comfortable testifying under oath to the substance of your report.
They gave me and a few other volunteers a lot of good instruction. We learned what to expect and how to handle what might seem like a mountain of information. I felt pretty confident that I could do a good job by the time we were finished. At the end, they signed me up and it was official. I was certified to be a peer reviewer.
Now, maybe a while before you get a call from us, but when you do, be honest with us. If you really don't have the time, let us know. But if you do, we'll be very grateful for your help.
Time did go by and nobody called. I was sort of disappointed because I wanted to find out what the process was like from the inside. Then one day, when I had forgotten all about it, I got the call. It was from the peer review department.
Hello? Hi. Well, I'm as busy as ever. No, I could take a look at it. No harm in that. Just no promises, okay?
First thing I've got to do is see if you're going to be disqualified from this case. Here, look over these details and see if there are any conflicts of interest. Do you know him?
Betty was my peer review coordinator, and it was her job to walk me through the process.
I don't recognize the name, and he's not local. He's an orthopod?
Yes. How about referrals? Has he sent you any business or vice versa?
No, I'd recognize the name.
Good. We're looking at the surgeon who does a lot of knee replacement work. The complaint involved a woman who went in for surgery, developed a staph infection, and eventually lost her leg. Now, we've got his QA files going back a couple of years, and there have been a number of unfavorable outcomes. We subpoenaed these records and put them together for a practice review. We need you to go through the material to see what you find. The focus is the quality of care rendered in each of the 6 cases. They're all knee replacements done within a 2-year period. You've done knee replacements, I take it.
Yeah, nearly 10 years. But you know, things change from time to time, so I want to see when all this happened.
She was very thorough about establishing my
This is about
objectivity.
a report on
The
my
state
pocket.
board never wants to take a chance that there would even be the appearance of partiality or bias. The credibility of the profession is at stake, and peer reviewers have to be above reproach.
So, you can help us investigate this complaint.
How much material would you have for me?
A couple of boxes containing binders. And don't forget, being a peer reviewer can earn you CMEs towards your next renewal. So, what do you say?
It just got a little bit more attractive. What's the time frame?
So I took on the case, but I was afraid they were going to show up with a mountain of material for me to wade through. But it wasn't like that.
Well, there it is, all for your reading pleasure.
This is it.
It's the patient's records going back a couple of years prior to the incident. And I'll need you to sign this. It's a chain of custody form. We use it to keep track of the materials.
Okay. Well, let's get it in the house.
Okay. I'm sure you've seen this kind of thing before.
Only about 1,000,000 times. Okay to mark these up?
Please don't. Take all your notes on a separate piece of paper, but no marks on the documents, if you please. And there's some other things in there for you. A copy of the complaint, the physician's response, the nurse's reports, the patient's medication history. It's all there if you need it. If you think of anything else, give me a call. I'll round it up for you.
Great.
And this is very important. It's an index of all the materials that we've brought to you. indexed chronologically. It should make it much easier for you to find anything you might need.
Good, yeah, this will really help.
One last thing. This is private and extremely confidential. If you want to protect your immunity from suit, you can't discuss this case with anyone outside the peer review system.
Not even my wife? She's a doc.
Not her, not your closest colleagues at work, not the leading expert in the field. It's just us, you, and the documents. If you want to do more research, you can read up all you want. You can discuss standard of care and generalities, but you must not discuss the actual case with anyone who's not part of the peer review department.
It's a pretty thorough process, isn't it?
Yes, it is, but it's very doable, and it's very important. People's careers are on the line here. You can't leave them hanging. That's why we insist that you do the work in the allotted time.
And you've got another reviewer like myself reviewing this case?
That's right. We always have at least 2 physicians reviewing a case and filing reports. But the 2 of you work independently, okay?
Okay.
So I plunged into the case. They had laid out everything in order, which helped enormously. They had explained what the issues were, and as I studied the documentation, I tried to put myself in the other doctor's shoes. The heart of the case was a question about quality standard of care. It was evident that the patient in question had suffered a very poor outcome. She'd lost a leg. But despite what the public may think, a bad outcome is not necessarily evidence of a breach of standard of care. And I wasn't necessarily supposed to apply the highest possible standard of care to this case. However, I was supposed to be sure the patient received quality care. And did the physician in question exercise the degree of care and skill which is expected of a reasonably competent practitioner acting in the same or similar circumstances, given the current accepted practice in this state? And because standards of care change from time to time, I had to determine exactly what was current at the time of the case. I wanted to be as painstaking as possible, which meant there was a fair amount of work, made at times more difficult by some very poor handwriting.
Still at it?
Yeah, about halfway through.
Is it interesting?
Yes it is, and that's about all I'm going to tell you. Listen, if I start talking, I'm going to end up saying something I shouldn't.
Oh.
Listen, I'd love to talk this over with you, but I have to be utterly rigorous about this. If I disclose any information, I could lose my statutory immunity, and technically, they could hit me with civil or even criminal penalty. So, in other words, sweetheart, see you later.
Well, then I don't want to know anything about it.
Okay,
I hope you enjoy yourself.
thanks.
I found myself thinking a lot about the case, and there were some issues that were bothering me. I wasn't sure what the doctor's awareness of certain pre-existing conditions had been. I needed more information. I called the peer review department.
Hey Betty, it's Bob. Regarding the case, I haven't seen anything about the patient's history of circulatory problems. Can you go back a couple more years?
Let me see what I can find. How far back do you need? Anything else?
What about films? I've seen the reports, but I'd really love to see the pictures.
We'll track them down for you.
She came through with the request, and a clearer picture of the case started to emerge. I was starting to come to some conclusions about how the staph infection got started and why it had become so nasty. There were some things in the patient's history that the surgeon should have been aware of. I felt like I was getting down to the heart of the case. I felt the surgeon knew what he was doing technically, but it was his lack of knowledge of the patient's history that bothered me. He evidently hadn't asked enough questions, just sort of rushed into things. I checked the other cases and found several other similar episodes over the 3 years he'd been practicing in this state. It seemed like a breach of standard of care, but I had to decide to what degree it had occurred. He didn't lack the skill or knowledge to be performing this kind of surgery, but there had been a deviation from acceptable standards. Was it a slight deviation or substantial? I know what I would have done in this case, but that didn't really matter. The objective question is, what would the majority of competent physicians do to provide quality care given similar circumstances? That would be the basis of my report. I really wanted to talk it over with someone, but I couldn't. As lonely as it made me feel, my job was to decide for myself based on my education, training, and expertise, just like the respondent. That afternoon, I wrapped up the report and certified in my report that it contained accurate information. I was satisfied that the record showed a clear breach of standard of care and that I could demonstrate exactly where the physician had come up short. I mailed the report to the state board and hoped that would be the end of it. Not quite.
Dr. Andrews? I'm Irene Ludwig from the prosecutor's office. I called you about the knee replacement case.
Of course, hi. I'm not under investigation, I take it?
No, you're helping us. To update you, the board met and voted charges against the physician in question, and I'll be handling the prosecution. What I was hoping to do was to go over your report with you and have you explain it to me. I'm pretty familiar with a lot of medical terminology, but I need to understand it in plain English.
Plain English? Easy. Essentially, the guy didn't do his homework. He made a decision based on incomplete understanding of the patient's history. That raised the likelihood for complications, i.e. staph infection, and the rest is a very sad story.
That's what it seemed like to me, but I need to understand the case in detail.
I took her through my report step by step, and then she took me through the legal process. There would be a period to see if the two sides could settle without taking it any further. But if the responding physician remained adamant that they were in the right, then we'd have to have the administrative hearing.
In which case you'll have to testify.
I was hoping to avoid that.
Nobody likes to testify, but I'll work very hard getting you ready. This is a very formal procedure, and you need to know how to handle it. There's a certain way of presenting your material that's very helpful, and then you need to know how to deal with cross-examination. You'll be more comfortable and more effective if you know what to expect. Cross-examination can be a challenge, but if you're prepared, you've got nothing to worry about.
They'll try to crucify me.
Oh, no, they'll just try to impeach your testimony and make you look unimpressive.
That's reassuring.
We'll show you how to deal with it. But let's not worry about it just yet.
Is there anything else you'd like to add?
Unfortunately, I would have to testify. The defense maintained that the responding physician had conducted himself in a professional manner, and that the real problem was with overly aggressive physical therapists. They refused to settle, and we were all bound for the administrative hearing.
We will stick to the questions that we've...
So I had to learn how to be an effective witness. Irene and her staff were a lot of help preparing me.
However, after that, the defense will be able to cross-examine you.
The day came for the hearing, and I was a little on edge.
How many knee replacement surgeries have you performed?
But it went exactly like they said it would. Irene led me through my testimony, and I'd felt I'd done a pretty good job.
And the standard of quality medical care in this type of case would mandate what sort of knowledge of the patient's history?
As thorough as possible, including past circulatory problems, which could have an impact on the effectiveness of the antibiotics they were going to give her.
Then the defense took over for its cross-examination.
And how many cases have you handled before as a peer reviewer?
This is my first.
Uh-huh. On page 4 of your report, you cite a study on this class of antibiotics for use in post-surgery situations. That was published when, Doctor?
1999.
And the case in question was when?
1997.
So you're saying that the respondent was negligent for not reading a report that hadn't been published yet? Your Honor, we'll have to strike this from the report.
Agreed.
It was a bad moment, but they had told me to expect some tough questions. I shook it off and tried not to look more upset than I was. Finally...
No further questions.
Thank you. That will conclude the testimony and the argument in this matter. I will be making my decision, which is a recommended decision, back to the board. I'm required to render this decision within 90 days of today. Both parties will be apprised of the recommended decision as well as the appeal rights by right of exception to the board. Now, is there anything else we need to address before we conclude?
No, Your Honor.
No.
This proceeding is concluded. Off the record.
That was a tremendous job, Doctor. You really put the issue into perspective.
Just don't make me do it again.
Oh, don't worry. You'll be off the hook for at least a couple of years.
Robert, how are you? Were you just in a hearing?
You remember that peer review work you got me started on? Well, I just had to testify.
So, how'd it go?
I survived. Thanks for asking.
But not much fun, huh?
No, but it was the right thing for me to do. Look at it this way. There's what? Hundreds of thousands, millions of times every year a doctor sees a patient in this state, and 99.99% of the time everything's fine.
Still, if you're that last 0.001, you have every right to expect the same degree of care.
Exactly.
When you don't get it, well, that's why we have peer review. If a physician has problems, it takes other physicians to fix them.
I won't argue there. Look, you busy? I figure you got me into this. The least you can do is buy me lunch.
Don't count on it.